I competed as an amateur boxer from ages 18 to 23, and I had about 25 fights and represented WA twice. It was a lot of hard work, and there were points when I would train 3, 4, even 5 times a day, way too much. And my step count was like 35,000. And during this time, my physique looked like this, which is not a bad physique at all, but it's very average considering the amount of work I was putting in, which is absolutely fine because that obviously wasn't my goal at the time. My last fight was in July of 2023, where I fought 5 times in a month. It was sick. It was a great time. I had a close fight with Australia's #1 and come really close, but lost. And it was good, but it also was my time. Like, I was finishing uni, I had my business starting, and I thought, like, this is a pretty good high note to end on. Although I did fight like a week or 2 later and lost, so scratch that. But other than that, it was a pretty fairy tale ending. Like, I was happy how my boxing career finished. And honestly, I didn't really struggle with the whole identity thing of like being a sports person, not being a sports person, that transition. I didn't really massively identify as some elite athlete when I was a boxer. The one thing I did struggle with was my physique. Like, it wasn't too bad, but I just, like, I was like, oh, I'll gain for a little bit, kind of got chubby, and then I was like, oh, I'll cut. But I couldn't cut as easy because I wasn't burning as many calories per day. So it was tough. And even though I had my sports science degree and I went to uni and all this sort of stuff, I still didn't really have a great concept of calories in, calories out, deficit and all this sort of stuff. I was just trying to train harder, train more, eat more protein, but nothing really changed. Like, I just looked very soft and then I looked very skinny. Like, it was pretty average. I did this for about a year post-boxing, and then I went backpacking around Europe for 3 months. It was an awesome trip, and I left there looking like this. So I actually left in decent shape. But anyway, we went on this backpacking trip, which is awesome, but I pretty much ate everything in sight for the full 12 weeks. No Diet Coke, nothing like that. It was tough. I kind of had my head in the sand and wasn't trying to think about how I was looking because I was enjoying my holiday. But by week 4, I was looking like this, and then week 8 was looking like, I could see the double chin in photos. And then by the time I got back, this is what I looked like. I ended up putting on about 8 kilos in that 12 weeks. That photo there is 16 kilos heavier than my fight weight when I used to box, and about 8 kilos heavier than when I left for Europe. Like, I felt so bad when I come back. I was just kind of like disgusted. And I just had like no confidence to take my shirt off or anything like that. I was not happy with how I was looking. So when I got back, and this is something I don't suggest, but I did 75 hard just to do it with a bunch of mates. It was a fun challenge to do, and I did get very lean, but it wasn't because I did 75 hard or there's any magic behind that. And then I ended up looking like this. So I got a really good transformation. I'd say the 3 things that I can attribute this to are, 1, I was in a lot of pain. Like, in terms of, I hated how I looked. I was embarrassed taking my shirt off. I was embarrassed getting changed in front of my girlfriend. I was not happy with what I saw, even to the point where I was trying not to look in the mirror when I went into the shower, right? Number 2 is I had a really clear plan. I knew exactly what my calories were, how long I was doing it for, what my protein was, what I was doing in the gym, what results I should expect. I could keep a good eye on my results. I had it all mapped out really well. And number 3, I was held accountable. I paid a friend $100 a week to make sure I was doing all the stuff that I was doing, right? Like, that ends up being $1,200 by the end of the 3 months. But that is good. Like, I would pay $1,200 to look like that from that. But I got into this really good shape, and then after that, I committed to doing the process properly. So this is a process to keep this kind of shape without having to do 75 hard all year round, right? So first of all, I reversed up my calories. So what I like to do is add 150 calories Monday to Thursday, and then same thing Friday to Sunday, I'll add another 150 calories for 2 weeks. Then the next full week, I'll add another 150 calories. Then from there, I'll stay at that weight for 3 to 4 weeks. During that time, I'll weigh in every single day and track my average weekly weight. And these are the 3 kind of categories I look for, right? If you're kind of gaining between 150 grams or less, like you're even losing weight, you're not eating enough, like you're not going to be putting on muscle. Between 150 and 350 grams weekly gain on average across 4 weeks is ideal. That's what we want. And then anything more than 350 per week on average across 4 weeks is kind of like you're probably gaining a little bit of fat. Then once you've found your right calorie intake, you want to do a couple of things. Get protein as high as possible. Like, I know there's optimal amounts, 1.6 or 2.2 times body weight. In my opinion, you're better overdoing it. With things like bioavailability and all that, you want to get as much as you can to really maximize that side of the muscle building equation. So that's 1. Get as much protein as you can. I always like to aim for 10-to-1 ratio, 10 calories to 1 gram of protein. Train as hard as you can, as often as you can. What you really want is 20 sets per muscle group per week, right? Structure that however you want. Can be 3 days a week, can be 5 days a week. But what you really want as well is hypertrophy training. So a couple of things for that is focus on the eccentric. Lots of time under tension and progressive overload are kind of the key fundamentals of that. Then you set a weight goal and follow it from there. So like, I started at 73 was my lowest weight. I went up to 80 and that worked really well. And this is what I looked like at 80. This was all over the time of about a year and a half, right? Then this was a big test. We went back to Europe again for 5 weeks. I know, tough life that an online coach lives. This is a really good chance to check if what I built was sustainable and if it did the job of increasing my maintenance calories. And the best part of it is I still wasn't super locked in. I was still eating whatever I want, did quite a bit of drinking, but I just made slightly better choices. Like again, maybe 1 packet of lollies for like traveling cross country instead of 3. And then when we went out, if I wasn't drinking, I'd be having Diet Coke, not normal Coke. Surprisingly simple, but made a big difference. I went over there and I gained 1 kilo in 5 weeks. That's so much better. I got a little bit flat because I didn't work out over there, so I ended up coming back looking like this. Then I did a little cut, I ended up looking like this. So I come back pretty good. But the whole point of this, right, is we want to get in shape forever. We don't want to just do a quick 12-week cut and then look good and then get fat again. So what we want to do is, if you do a cut, you need to reverse up properly, gain some muscle and get comfortable. Now you don't have to repeat this cycle for the rest of your life, not at all. Once you've kind of done that reverse gaining phase, you'll probably want to cut down a little bit more. But once you get to that point, you can easily hold that forever and eat like 3,000 calories a day in order to not go up. That's very doable. And it doesn't mean you have to eat that many calories per day, but it means when life gets busy and you start kind of eating like shit, you've got a way longer run rate where like you can eat bad and not get fat straight away. This is a really rough overview and like an idea of what I did after I finished boxing, right? You want to cut down as much fat as possible. That's what I did post Europe. From there, you want to reverse up properly and gain as much muscle as possible. You do that for a while. You can do that from 3 to 9 months. After you've done that gaining phase, you can cut again and really like kind of reveal your best physique. And then you're kind of set. You can do whatever you want. You can gain more if you want. You can go through a couple of cycles of this and get super jacked. Or what you can do with your knowledge of nutrition and training from that point is you can just do whatever you want. You can train 1 to 2 times a week and keep it, average idea of calories, and then go do rock climbing or jiu-jitsu or motocross or whatever you want to do and stay in really good shape for the rest of your life. If you want a good idea of how to do this and to be coached through it, feel free to send me a message. Click the link below. I've still got coaching applications at this point in time.